It's finally time for the third Infernal Demons video. Bayonetta's new demons in Bayonetta 3 are so fun to see from a design standpoint, and I love them all. Bayonetta 1 and 2 gave the demons different color palettes when summoned by Bayonetta or Jean, but now the demons have one color palette regardless of their summoner. This is because when they are summoned, instead of being wrapped in hair, they are kinda made of it instead. The color of the hair does not affect the demon's color either, so I don't really have much else to say, so let's go ahead and start. The Lost Outcast. Cheshire is technically not a contracted demon, and is instead tied to Viola's katana Mabdachi, and takes form using the cat charm of Cheshire hanging on the katana's hilt. Similar to the Madama's wicked weaves, Cheshire's body parts such as his head or claws can be summoned during battle. He has a lot of unique abilities, such as being able to cough up storage within his stomach, such as a penny farthing bicycle or a shovel. His tail is also prehensile and can act like a dowsing rod. His description goes: a somewhat rootless infernal demon that inhabits Viola's katana Mabdachi. He has not entered into an official contract with Viola, and in fact it's unclear why he helps her at all, when she still can't reliably complete a summoning spell, but he willingly appears from her katana whenever she calls on him for help. Using the cat charm hanging from Viola's katana as a host body, he looks like some kind of theme park mascot, but it is unknown if that is his true form or somehow affected by design of the charm. Cheshire's relationship with Viola seems to be more like that of good friends rather than master and servant, but the mysteries of why he has taken a liking to her when she's still not a full-fledged witch, and why he refuses to return to Inferno and instead continues to stay in Viola's katana, still remain. Cheshire is a very significant demon in the series, even if he is relatively new to it. I'm not going to get into whether this is the same one from Serenade and the Lost Demon because it's a bit too much to think about right now, but go ahead and let me know what you all think. Cheshire is designed after two things primarily: Serenade's Cheshire Cat doll, and the Cheshire Cat from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Cheshire as a cat doll was made and given to Serenade as a child from her mother Rosa. It is made from scraps, as Rosa was locked up so she used whatever she could to make something for her daughter. It's very meaningful to Serenade. She used to carry it everywhere she went, and even thought of it as the most important thing to her as a child, until remembering the Umbran watch she got for her birthday.
Little one, do you have anything you really like? Something really important to you?
Yes, this. I love it.
Jean also has her own doll named Charles, which was most likely bought or professionally made. This highlights the differences in the early lives of Bayonetta and Jean. On to Cheshire's namesake. Cheshire shares a name with the Cheshire Cat, like I mentioned earlier, and also Luca to a lesser extent. The first known literary appearance of the phrase Cheshire Cat was in Francis Gross's A Classical Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue, second, corrected, and enlarged edition, released in 1788. There's an entry that says, Cheshire Cat, he grins like a Cheshire Cat, said of anyone who shows his teeth and gums in laughing. In some scenes, Cheshire will take a hit from a pipe and release the smoke as a puff. This is likely a reference to the caterpillar from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, who had a hookah. A fun detail I noticed is that he has a scar on his left eye. This could be a reference to when Serenade's Cheshire's eye fell off in the first Bayonetta when it was hit by Justitia. He is summoned by Viola when she simply calls out to him instead of using traditional Enochian chanting.
All you can see.
The Charger of the Crimson Rim. Wartrain Gouon is the main contracted demon of Bayonetta Beta 2 from China. It became a demon when it was possessed by a vengeful spirit. The train has a lot of weapons spread across each of its carriages. It can also let out or call Hideous to battle for itself, and by extension for Bayonetta. It magically summons rails to be able to traverse the battlefield, and can even use them to rise into the air. Its description goes: an armed combat train known as T-696 that was built for national defense on one of the most remote worlds of the multiverse, using its most advanced technology, but that was later possessed by a vengeful spirit and ultimately became an infernal demon. Its body is thickly plated with a unique alloy armor, and it is equipped not only with 2 sets of front-facing dual cannons and 4 sets of triple cannons along the top, but it also hides 6 long-barreled cannons and 6 chainsaw-like crushing weapons inside its body. And due to an array of transformation mechanisms, it can deploy those weapons at high speed and prepare for battle at any range. It is said that a leader by the name of Rokuru Todoroki, driven mad by countless battles, sent this train speeding through cities and burning them as he went, finally crashing into an ammunition dump and being dragged into Inferno. Highlighted in the description is the concept of Wartrain Gouon's design as described by Tsuyoshi Takahashi. The train was designed to defend the nation but has since been possessed by a demon. The particular demon possessing the train is said to behave as a hermit crab. Hermit crabs are a superfamily of crustaceans that occupy empty mollusk shells. When they grow, they require bigger shells. Imagine this demon requiring a bigger shell. I think it'd be fun to see it control a much larger mode of transportation. That would be a really cool Deadly Sin form where it possesses something even bigger. The name Gouon comes from these Japanese kanji, which together can be pronounced Gouon. The meaning of these together would be roaring grudge or something like that. Wartrain Gouon is also known as T696, which may seem random or like they missed an opportunity with 666, but this is actually a way of referencing Rokuro Todoroki, the leader that sent the train through cities to burn them until he crashed. Using Goroawase, which is a common Japanese wordplay technique using phonetics, the number 696 can mean Rokuro. The T at the beginning would stand for Todoroki. A fun coincidence is that the first character in Gouon uses the same number of strokes when you add up 696, which is 21. As a train, Wartrain Gouon has the white notation of 464, also known as the Baltic or Hudson wheel configuration. Because of this, the train may be a reference to a manga series known as Galaxy Express 39s, where the featured train 39s also uses Baltic or Hudson wheel configuration. The basis of that train is the JNR class C-62 train. To summon it, the chant goes,
Matub Palm!
which means echoing run. The Spire of the Forbidden. The Umbran Clock Tower is the main contracted demon of Rosa Beta 4. The Umbran Clock Tower is exactly what it says it is. A clock tower that was a monument to the Umbra witches. It symbolized their way of life, at least according to Rosa. In the first 2 games, it is featured as a building prominently. The demon version of the tower has a red crescent moon on top of the tower, and the clock faces can shift away to reveal eyes. The tower can be divided in parts, with the top divider being reminiscent of teeth along the tower to bite enemies. The clock tower's bell can even activate witch time. The gargoyles on the statue have moon-shaped wings similar to the collar of the cloak of the Umbran Elder. Its description goes, a clock tower and symbol of the Umbra that once stood proudly on the cliffs of the edge of Vigrid, quietly keeping time as the world turned. During the Great War between the Umbra witches and the Lumen sages 500 years ago, the tower was knocked over and into a pit by attacking angels, with the Umbran Elder and several other witches who were defending the tower still inside. The witches in the tower all plunged into Inferno, and the souls of the witches merged with the wreckage of the tower, which was ultimately reborn as a cursed fortress. The structure is full of countless weapons, seemingly manifestations of the witches' lingering resentment, and any being that approaches is instantly greeted and decimated by them. Because it is a building, it cannot move from the location where it appears, but its nigh impenetrable walls offer the most solid defense in Inferno. Similar in a way to Wartrain Gouon, the Umbran Clock Tower as a demon is an inanimate object possessed by the soul of something else. In this case, the multiple souls of the deceased Umbra. I mentioned this before in a different video, but the Umbran Clock Tower replaces the Earrings of Ruin because you can use it to summon the Umbran Armor. The earliest clock tower was the Tower of Winds in Athens. It had 8 sundials and was created in the 1st century BC. In looks, it resembles one of the most famous clock towers, Elizabeth Tower. If you were thinking it was named Big Ben, that's actually the name of the Great Bell of the Great Clock of Westminster. Big Ben referring to the entire tower is an example of pars pro toto, which is when a part of something is used to refer to the entire thing. I'm no artist, but I did take 1 course of art appreciation, and some Google searching shows my probably obvious thought that the tower is constructed in a Gothic style. This is also why I connected to Elizabeth Tower, as it's also made in a Gothic style, specifically Neo-Gothic. Its entry in the Book of Infernal Demons shows that its height and weight are 44 meters and 196 tons. There is a clock tower that is 44 meters in the real world, and it is named Former Kowloon Canton Railway Clock Tower, which is located in Hong Kong. I like to think, however, because of the number you get when you add 44 to 196, which is 240, it may reference the tallest clock tower in Japan, which is the NTT Dokumo Yoyogi building. It is also the second largest clock tower in the world behind the Maka Clock Royal Tower, which is 601 meters tall. Another fun thing is that the footprint for the tower is the Umbran symbol. To summon it, the chant goes,
Rio Ladna!
which means Widow's Ark of Knowledge. The Despot of the Sullen Maw. Kraken is a demon contracted to Dark Eve. Kraken is an infernal demon that resembles a giant cephalopod. Two of its limbs have giant gold anchors attached to the ends of them. Its head opens up as a giant mouth that can swallow enemies whole. It can also seemingly just swim through the ground, replacing where it goes temporarily with what I'm assuming to be ink. Its description goes, a giant cephalopod-like infernal demon said to live in the swamp known as Stygia, a swamp filled with the ichorous blood of demons and located on the far rim of Inferno. Usually lurking at the bottom of the swamp, Kraken is said to only rise from the depths and appear on the Day of Tears, a day that comes only once every 1,000 years when a rain of blood falls. However, no one has ever seen its full form. It is believed to have 10 tentacles, with 2 of them ending in sharp anchor-like hooks that it uses to tear into prey, and that its body splits open like flower petals to reveal a giant, voracious mouth. No witch has ever contracted this demon, contributing to the veil of mystery that surrounds it. The Kraken is a legendary sea creature that is said to appear off the coasts of Norway. The legend says it is a giant octopus-like creature that has a reputation for pulling down ships. Because of the location and the size, the basis of the legend may be giant squids. Female giant squids can reach estimated heights of 12 to 13 meters, and male giant squids can reach 10 meters. Female giant squid are estimated to weigh 275 kilograms, and male giant squid are said to weigh 150 kilograms. Despite its size, it is only the second largest mollusk in terms of mass. Colossal squids, while smaller in length, weigh a lot more than giant squids, reaching at minimum 495 kilograms based on the beaks found in the stomachs of sperm whales. They are estimated to reach as much as 600 to 700 kilograms. The reason giant squids are considered the basis for the Kraken is because colossal squids are found in the Antarctic Ocean, while the giant squid is found near Norway among other areas around the world, but mostly in the North Atlantic Ocean. Kraken has features of both an octopus and a squid. Its main body resembles an octopus, and it has 10 limbs that resemble those of a squid. If you want to get technical, Kraken has 8 arms and 2 tentacles, which are the limbs that end in anchors. Kraken's description in the Book of Infernal Demons shows that it's from Stygia, also known as the Stygian Swamp. The word Stygian refers to the goddess Styx or the river Styx. Because it is the Stygian Swamp, this is a reference to the 5th circle of hell, which represents wrath in the Divine Comedy. In the 5th circle of hell, Dante and Virgil travel across the swampy waters of the river Styx, while the actively wrathful are fighting each other on the surface. The description mentions a blood rain that foreshadows the coming of Kraken. Did you know blood rain is real? Kinda. Blood rain or red rain is when blood is perceived to be falling from the sky, but the most agreed upon theories regarding this phenomenon is that red dust is trapped in the water or that microorganisms are in the rain. To summon it, the chant goes,
Lusta Puim!
which means feet sickles. This is unused in the game as there's no point where we see Kraken summoned traditionally outside of Demon Slave.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment. Now, come on now.
These demons are not necessarily new, but they are superpowered forms achieved when an Umbra witch performs the Deadly Sin ritual. The Deadly Sin ritual requires the witch to extract their heart and offer blood as an offering to further empower the demon of their choice, unlocking new power within them. Deadly Sin is a reference to the 7 deadly sins. This is only a name as I can't really think of how else it would connect to use in the game as there are only 4 demons and I can't really connect it to anything else. Just so I don't have to repeat myself 4 times, the first half of the chant Bayonetta uses to start the ritual is which means, in the name of Bayonetta, Circle of Blood, open the secret wisdom. The demons each have unique second halves of the ritual. The Font of Devastation. Sin Gomorrah is the form Gomorrah takes after Bayonetta performs the Deadly Sin ritual. At first, Gomorrah only looks slightly tweaked and much bigger, but when I first saw this in game, I was so hyped about it. Being able to just reveal a giant mouth with a large purple laser is just so over the top, and this is exactly what I love. This, not so much though. His description goes, Gomorrah's completely uninhibited form, pushed to the limits of its power by Bayonetta during the Deadly Sin ritual. This form resembles the legendary beast tyrant spoken of in Forbidden Tomes, a mountainous creature rumored to live deep within the Johnson Forest of Inferno. This beast tyrant was said to rule over all the Gomorrah in Johnson Forest, and could make all of the demons in the forest bow simply by raising its head. But not even the residents of Inferno have managed to see it and live to tell the tale. The naming convention of Sin in this context could be a reference to Sin Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry, which has Dante transform into a super-powered version of himself. The name Sin Gomorrah could also be a simple way of introducing players to the Deadly Sin technique by explicitly saying this is Gomorrah in his Deadly Sin form, therefore Sin Gomorrah. The biblical cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because of the sins of their inhabitants, so the name could also be connected to this too. I remember when I first read font, I thought the way words were styled, but the word font also means a source of desirable quality, in this case devastation. Why else would Bayonetta summon Gomorrah, Sin Gomorrah at that, if not to cause devastation or destruction? Sin Gomorrah, and really most of these, can be referred to as kaiju. Kaiju is a Japanese media genre that involves giant monsters. It is also used to refer to the giant monsters themselves. Sin Gomorrah and Gomorrah may reference a kaiju from Ultraman named Gomorrah in name and appearance. The roar Gomorrah has sounds like Godzilla's roar from 1962 to 1975. The description basically confirms that Gomorrah is one of many, and Sin Gomorrah is a legendary creature who is not known to actually exist, and only spoken of in legends. It could also be possible that Sin Gomorrah is not actually the Beast Tyrant and is just merely a new form of Gomorrah unlocked through the Deadly Sin ritual that just looks like it. I think this because of the use of the word resembles in the description, and Gomorrah needs a Deadly Sin ritual to be able to achieve this form, where I'm assuming the Beast Tyrant is a being without human intervention being needed. The second half of his ritual goes, which means follow to the end, come forth, thunderous elder creature. The Lady of Onyx Brilliance. Queen Butterfly is the form Madama Butterfly takes after Bayonetta performs the Deadly Sin ritual. I genuinely hope this is not the last we get to see of these forms because these designs are all so good. Queen Butterfly is enormous and has some sort of cloud manipulation power or can just summon bubbles from them. She always seems to be having fun fighting. Her headpiece now has these branch-like appendages on it that are actually arms, and the purple feather-like tails are possibly eyes. Viola describes them to be all-seeing eyes. Her description goes, Madama Butterfly's true form obtained by being anointed in the magic-rich heart's blood of Bayonetta through her use of the forbidden Deadly Sin ritual. Growing to a size that pierces the clouds, she has become even more beautiful and even more brutal, leading all who gaze upon her to feel their sanity crumble as something akin to a yearning for death begins to grow within. As stated in the Book of Infernal Demons by Viola, she has the ability to change size at will, making her the tallest sin demon we can summon at a max height of 8,900 meters tall. That is taller than Mount Everest, which is 8,848.88 meters tall at its snow cap. Queen butterflies are a real species of butterfly. If you notice, these look really similar to monarch butterflies, which they are closely related to. There is also a butterfly known as the soldier or a tropical queen. I can't really see what Lady of Onyx Brilliance is. What if it's a subtle reference to onyx roses? Would that mean if Madama Styx had a deadly sin form, she'd be called Lady of Garnet Brilliance? It could reference real-life onyx, a variety of chalcedony which is commonly thought of in its black variant. Onyx is also the birthstone of July. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing at all. But it's a bad attempt at a segue to let you know I just figured out Bayonetta's birthday is the same as Hideki Kamiya's. The second half of her ritual goes, which means beauty of the wicked, apparel terror steward to come forth. The Igniter of Creation. The Phantom is the form Phantasmarni takes after Bayonetta performs the Deadly Sin ritual. So I'm sure a lot of you've noticed, but a lot of the demons in this game were given or designed with red crescent moons, which is the typical symbol of Infernal Demons. But Phantasmarni and the Phantom just absolutely ran with this design choice as they both have 9, one on each of their legs and one on their forehead. The flames on his body turn from red to bright purple in this form. His description goes, Phantasmarni's ultimate form unleashed by Bayonetta's Deadly Sin ritual, now with an out-of-control internal reactor that continuously creates magma at a temperature of 1 trillion degrees. The flames that cloak its body and the sheer heat from the magma are powerful enough to vaporize nearly anything in the vicinity. In this state, Phantasmarni itself has no way to cool down, and must simply fight until time runs out and it explodes into nothingness. Subtlety is a virtue, I think. But here it's not. If anyone for any reason was doubtful of Phantasmarni's inspiration, it's Phantom from Devil May Cry. I do like the in the front of the name as it gives an air of power or importance. The Book of Infernal Demons says that Phantasmarni and the Phantom are from Phalaris, the Sea of Magma. This comes from Phalaris, the tyrant of Agragas, Sicily, from 570 BC to 554 BC. He was famous for his atrocities. One of the alleged ones was eating babies. His most famous atrocity was the usage of the torture device known as the Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull was a torture chamber where victims were cooked alive as there was a fire underneath it, and a system of tubes where their screams sounded like the sounds of a bull. It also has incense to make it smell nice, and it was said that the bones of the victims were crystallized and made into bracelets. 1 trillion degrees Celsius is very hot. That is 1,000 times hotter than a supernova explosion. I think that the Igniter of Creation could reference how the Big Bang is a very popular theory as the creation of everything, or even how supernovas can trigger the creation of stars. The way its final explosion is described, it really does make you think of a supernova. While a supernova can create new stars, it also leaves a void of sterile space. The second half of his ritual goes, which means fire of the sun mightily burns thee, come forth. The Siren of Creeping Plague. Baal Zebul is the form Baal takes after Bayonetta performs the Deadly Sin ritual. The only Deadly Sin demon to come from a demon not introduced in the first Bayonetta. Her description goes, Baal's true form, revealed by Bayonetta's Deadly Sin ritual. This form is only revealed to those she has formed an eternal pact with. In other words, an opponent who sees this form has come face to face with their imminent demise. In this form, Baal adopts a truly regal and graceful air, singing with an emotional and beautiful voice that resounds through all of Inferno, bringing a dramatic death on par with the expertly performed aria. In fact, her love of opera is such that she occasionally journeys into the human world disguised as an average toad, sneaking up to the rafters of theaters to watch. The name Baal Zebul is an alteration of the demon name Beelzebub. In demonology, Beelzebub is known as one of the 7 princes of hell, where he is the prince of gluttony. He is also known as the Lord of the Flies in the Dictionnaire Infernal, which is fun because toads eat flies. Viola says that the parasol is a part of her body, which is funny to think about since she just puts it on the ground like it's nothing. Baal Zebul is also the only Sin Demon to be shorter than her original form. Baal is 24 meters tall, and Baal Zebul is 7.5 meters tall. Her title, Siren of Creeping Plague, is probably my favorite demon title in the series. A siren comes from Greek mythology, and they are known for their songs where they lure sailors to a shipwreck. Creeping Plague could be how Baal and Baal Zebul cause poison rain to fall. A comparison a lot of people have made is Baal Zebul's similarity to Diva Plava Laguna from The Fifth Element. Both are humanoid but not human opera singers with similar sounding music pieces. The second half of her ritual goes. Which means poison sea, follow, come forth, comfort song of virgins. This chant is calling you all out to think that Fertile Rondo is the best song in the game.
Absolutely brilliant.
Infernal Demons are such a big part of the Bayonetta series because they always add to the absolute spectacle of the game. Let me know in the comments who your favorite Infernal Demon is and why you'd contract them. I'd love to hear all of your opinions on this topic. But that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being so patient with me. I'll see you all next time.